Hello, guys. It's Chris, the Natural Progressive, and I've got quite the crowd with me today, and I'm so very happy to welcome a new person in the Monday Madness. Wait, welcome so much, Shonda. Is that how you say your name, Shonda?
Shanda like a chandelier.
Nice, Shonda. Welcome
Thank you.
to the channel, and I'm so happy to have you join us. Just gonna get back to the chat so I can see it. Um, First off, we already have a super chat from Hans Asperger. Thank you so much for your contribution. He
Awesome.
says, there is a lie in the end of the tunnel. There's always a lie in the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Um, I think most of us understand that. Um, I mean, for someone who's been kind of critical, I mean, I like people to call me out if I'm doing something wrong. Um, totally do. And Hans, really loved your criticism about the cat, and I understand it. I did a picture in my community section with a cat, and he called me out saying cats, kill a lot of birds, and they do. Um, I happen to have a lot of stray cats that find me, and I fix them. Spay and neuter them, and I feed them, so maybe they won't hunt so much. I feel like that's helping. I hope. Um, None of
Yeah.
us have all the answers. I understand that, but thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate it. Um, I'll definitely help the channel keep going and keep this conversation going. And I think everybody deserves to have a voice. Bio, as always, thank you so much. You're always the first one here, and I really appreciate you. Since I'm always here lurking in the silence, you're not always just lurking. You get your words in, I think. And Anthony Davis. Anthony is always lurking as well, but we love Anthony in the conversation. Gazar's here. Cindy Seeley is here. Chris Foster is here. Hello, Chris Foster. TRC Galaxy is here. I thought I didn't comment by him.
Pat the Batman.
Pat the Batman fan.
Pat's
Well, why
here.
aren't you on the show? Pat the Batman fan should be on the program. He might be busy, but Pat, I sent you a link, so you're certainly more than welcome to jump on. Um, yeah, $200 sec or 200 sec. I don't know what monetary thing that is, but thank you very much. Chris Foster, he's like, this is super early in the morning for Chris Foster, by the way. He's in Yorkshire. Yorkshire. Um across,
Here for the
across the
UK.
pond.
In the UK.
Absolutely. Pat says,
Some of the
hello,
best.
new person. Okay, am I missing anybody? I think I said hello to everybody, maybe? I don't know.
Gazar.
I said hello to Gazar. I always love having Gazar
Edie
here.
Sunbeam.
Oh, Dee Sunbeam, hello. Yes, it's a full house. There's more people expected, but it's okay. We have a plan. If more people come by, we're just gonna have people close their video while other people talk, and that way, I just want to keep it 6 people on the screen at the most. It's just easier that way. It doesn't get too complicated. Um, we're playing the game. Wait, that's you, Val.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Being
guys,
silly.
let's go ahead. Wait, some Dee said Rising show with Crystal and Sager today talked about the virus accidentally getting out of the Wuhan lab via a worker. Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, hopefully you guys are all aware of that. There was a worker at the lab that was right around the corner, like in the same block as the seafood market they say it came from, and she somehow disappeared off of all the websites and everything of that lab, and died. And she may have been the very first victim of the virus. So there's that. Um, yeah, yeah, it is about $20. I can see that. Kevin Shanholzer, welcome. Don the hat. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Anyway, so we were going to discuss the title of the show why the military industrial complex loves the Green New Deal.
Cool. Can I
So,
introduce Shanda as
yes, yes, yes. Introduce Shonda because I just saw her on your show on the Daily Dive on Uphill Media, and I loved her on that. By the way, check out Uphill Media, the Daily Dive that's on every day at 11 a.m. Mountain, and various other times across the nation. Anyway, go ahead, Oz.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna put this over on Shanda quickly, but I want to say Shanda is been around the world.
Wow.
She's really she was the backup press secretary for Obama's press secretary, isn't that right,
Yeah.
Shanda? And no, it wasn't Obama, it was Putin. No, not Putin. Anyway, I dig. I
Stop
dig.
it.
Shanda is she's basically been around for the last what 4 or 5 years, Shanda, in different
5 years.
yeah, and she's really active. She's an active activist. She actually walks her talk, and that's refreshing these days because some of us can't get out, but Shanda does both places. And I want to say that Shanda is in development for her own show, and the name of that show is, and you can go in saying that and then tell us a little bit about yourself quickly and go from there, Shanda.
Well, my show is going to be called The Accidental Activist because I don't feel many of us are born activists. I think one way or another, life's knocks lead us to end up fighting for things we never thought we would be fighting for. And so I live in Washington State, up by the very tip. I can see Canada. I raised 3 kids on my own on minimum wage, fresh out of high school, had kids. And so watching my children now become adults and have their own children and fight to be able to go to school, without huge debt, leaving my grandchildren in an environment that they can't, breathe, they can't drink the water, they can't get an education. I can't look my grandchildren in the eyes and say, what am I doing? So I'm fighting. And I started out, with, oh, I'm going to support Bernie. So I did the whole dim enter thing. I went into the Democratic Party. I did 4 years inside the Democratic Party, and I came out I'm tagged out right now. I need a break. I don't know if we can actually implement change. From what I've seen in the last 4 years, I don't think so. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'll get re-energized. That's the thing about being an activist. You gotta know when to, sit down, recharge, and get back in the fight. So I'm trying to reinvent myself now that we are on lockdown. Washington State's been on lockdown longer than most states. So here I am. And I feel like the new kid on the block, but I have been so welcomed by everybody. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me tonight.
We love a new voice. I love new voices. I love to bring out voices that I hear that I just love. Like Whitney, I found her channel and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. Val or and Veg and Oz. Well, Oz actually came to me, but I mean, I find all these people and I try to drag them in because I think their voices need to be amplified. So it's a great thing that Oz brought you to me. This is what I love to do. I love to bring in new
Oh,
people.
I thank you.
And I am nobody, really. I'm nobody, but my channel's
Oh, I
actually
wouldn't say that.
my show's actually growing pretty fast, I
Growing huge.
guess.
Got well over 1,000 subs now. I mean, you're talking.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
got to stop
wow.
that. You're interviewing scientists,
Yeah.
authors, activists. I mean, you're walking your talk. So don't be bashing yourself there, lady.
I
You're doing
know, but I
great.
love to amplify other people. That's
I know. I know.
like that's the whole reason I interview people like Derek Jensen and all the Paul Beckwith, all the other people that I interview. Blackbird News Kevin, all that. That's I just want to amplify their voices.
But
The
that's what
people.
makes your channel incredible, Chris. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why we all love you. So you're
Oh,
doing a fine job. You are. And I mean, I've been on YouTube for I don't know how many years, 10, this is my third channel. But like, trust me, you grew really, really fast. You're doing really well. You go out of your way to get the most interesting guests on. And
aw.
I just wanted to give you a word of encouragement and appreciation there. because
Thank
you're one of
you.
my favorite channels on YouTube. So there you go.
Thank you,
Aw.
Veg, and you're one of mine. So I love your channel. I wish I could do your editing. Oh my God. Put your editing together with me. I don't know. So yeah, I love Veg. Just go check out Vegematic. He is so amazing. And Osroar Media and Uphill Media, The Daily Dive and The Green Report. And what's your new channel, Shonda?
Oh, it's going to be the Accidental Activist.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
Okay, and that should be on Uphill
It's in
Media?
the works right now.
Will
Yeah,
it be
up,
on
It'll
Uphill
be on
Media?
Uphill. Yeah, Uphill.
Okay, great. Uphill Media is a great channel. Check it out.
Uphill
Chris
Media
Foster
was
says international. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say Uphill Media I discovered in
Yeah.
2016, which
When it was
was
Bernie
during the Bernie
2016
campaign.
Me
TV.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you remember Scott?
yeah, Scott.
Yes.
We talked
Yeah,
about that about Scott, about how the healthcare system murdered him, and
yeah.
Shonda, I've got to give her a thumbs up here. She talked about having a memorial segment for all the good people that we have lost because of murdering healthcare systems that aren't healthcare and other people, activists, right, Shonda?
Yeah, and in this movement in the last 5 years, I've had so many incredible mentors, and some have died because of the healthcare system, and some have just died, because of cancer. And I just want to memorialize those. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am if they wouldn't have promoted me and encouraged me, just like you guys are here today. And this is how we build it. So I just want to remember them. So just a segment, fallen heroes.
Love it. Love it. And I can't wait. I can't wait. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really hard to keep up with all the great channels that are going on Uphill Media and trying to keep up with Black Bear News is doing almost a daily show. And it's so hard to keep up with the Daily Dive and with everything. But if we can watch it every chance we get, this is good media. This isn't corporate media that's just propaganda. This is real media. This is
Yeah,
real
our
people
media is from
talking.
the heart, right, Chris? It's from the heart
Yes.
because we
Yes.
Yeah.
want to do it, right? Yeah, that's the best.
And
Absolutely.
and I think in spite of everything, we're forming sort of a loose network of people that are all connected.
Mhm.
And this might be kind of scary to some of the powers that be. I don't know, but it's alternative voices need to get out there. Everybody is tired of the whole corporate MSM. I mean,
I think it's kind of a
where do
tight
you go?
media. I wouldn't call it a loose media. I think we're pretty tight.
Yeah, I do too. I think we're getting tighter and tighter. Watching us build from, 2016 with, real progressives and, these
Hmm.
smaller shows that came out like Tim Black and even Jimmy Dore was small
Hmm.
back then, to see them explode. And then there's the next that are coming up right behind them. It's exciting. I think we're,
Yeah, and it's going to build and build and build. It's a ripple effect. It's going to keep going and
I
going
agree.
and going and going. Okay, got to read a couple comments because I'm tagged. Okay, guys, if you want me to notice your comments, it's really hard to keep up because we get so many comments. Put at the natural progressive at Gmail, or no, just at the natural progressive, and then your comment, and it should show up so I can see you like in orange. Um, and it'll stand out. Or you could do a super chat if you're feeling super. But not necessarily. No, a lot of people are broke. So please, if you don't have money, don't do that. Just do at the natural progressive, and it should pop up so I notice it, guys. So just do that. I'll read it just the same if you do that. So Gazar, I had a pile of shit to throw at the fan, but someone stole my fan and the shit also went missing. Okay, sorry. Our chat has a great sense of humor. So gotta get it. Oh, I'm a sweet leaves here. Welcome, I'm a sweet leaf. Um, and Jilly, you're so sweet. She says Chris attracts good people because like attracts like. Thank you, Jilly. I love you so much, Jilly love. Who doesn't love Jilly love? Um, oh, let's see.
I do.
She's everywhere, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
she's always at the Daily Dive. Jilly and Barbara and Human and
I know,
Ron,
and
Ron,
Melissa H, who I really
yeah,
pissed
Melissa
off the
A.
last show,
Yeah.
but hopefully she gets over it and is
Oh,
not
she
too mad at me. Um, the last one I watched. Okay, wait, I missed it. Gosh, this thing jumps around so bad.
get you.
Let's see. Bio is Shonda a new regular for Dames of Doom? I don't know. Are you going to be on Dames of Doom?
I don't know.
That's Women's Wednesday, by the way.
Yeah.
Whitney's on Well, we'll
we
find
we
out.
hope we hope. We'd
Wednesday,
love-
7 p.m. Mountain Time. Women's
Yep.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Sean would be great on that with you guys.
We talk a lot of politics, even though the Dames of Doom is, but we do talk about the horrible things.
Yeah.
I love the
consequences.
name.
You
I
know,
love the name.
But Val, you look terrible in drag. I hate to tell you
Yeah.
that, buddy. But
Occasionally, we have to have Val
You
or
think?
Oz as an honorary woman because I don't have
Yeah.
enough women.
I make a horrible woman. I concur, Veg. Yeah, it
Oh, Kim
ain't for me.
Centeno's here. Han says Joe Biden is probably the only person that can lose to Trump.
True.
Yes,
Isn't that sad? It's so sad. It's so
the
sad.
perv.
Okay, we're gonna get into some conversations. Am I
Uh,
missing anybody's comments that were tagged in? Just please tag me.
Sandy just popped in.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sandy's
hello,
here.
Sandy. Hello, Environmental Coffee House, another channel. If you're not watching, you should.
hey,
Very
Sandy.
important. Pat the Batman fan. I don't know why you're not on here. The Wasp or a Hornet, either way, awesome. I don't know.
Hi.
He's
The
he's
murder
focusing.
wasp. Oh, the murder
Yeah,
wasp.
murder wasp.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, Buddy's here. Hello, CB. Um, okay. All right. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. And you guys, if you want to chime in, please tag
Yes.
like at or at the Natural Progressive, or tag Val or anybody here at Vegematic, at Green Report. Or wait, do you come on as the Green Report, or does it come on as Progressive Weather, Whitney?
It should be Green Report now. I don't know.
Okay, your email's still the Progressive
Yeah,
Weather that
I
I have.
couldn't.
So
I didn't want to change it.
yeah, I don't blame you. Either way, anyway, tag one of us if you want us to read your comment, because it's really hard to keep up with. And you're conversing amongst yourself. So let's get into it. Okay. The main topic, of course, is how the military industrial complex loves the Green New Deal, and the reason being is there's why am I having a brain fart? There's rare earth minerals, fossil fuels in all these countries that are needed to implement the Green New Deal. The military industrial complex really, really would like to get their hands on those, and they love to start the wars to do that. God, where did Oz go when I really need him to back this up?
He'll pop back in.
Okay,
But
good.
proceed.
I mean, it's
The
just,
wars of acquisition.
yeah,
The
it's common
resource wars.
sense that they're going to have more wars over resources if they try to implement this on a huge scale. We don't have enough rare earth minerals in the U.S. to implement the Green New Deal on that scale. And I'm just going to say again, I don't want this to be the case, and I don't want to use fossil fuels. I would love us to reduce our use of fossil fuels, but so far, everything we've added to the grid with green energy has actually just added to our energy use. It hasn't decreased our energy use. We're using more fossil fuels than ever, and we're mining more than ever rare earth minerals from here and other places, copper, cobalt, all this stuff that you need to implement that to make lithium batteries. And you need batteries if you're going to have green energy. Oh my gosh, now we have all these comments. Pat, why are you commenting instead of just coming on? Damn it, not feeling great. Oh, okay, I understand. Plus editing. All right, well, love you, Pat. We will see you next week, I hope. Chris, I do Women Wednesday, but I look like a hawk in the roast. Well, we need to have you on Monday Madness, Chris, while you're out and about. Brahm is here. Brahm, why did you not come on? I have no problem
He
with
says
war. What
he
I
has
have
no
problem
problem.
with is going to war for the wrong reasons. I'd pick up a gun tomorrow if it was used against those like Clinton and Bezos. I agree. I sent you an invite, Brahm. I sent you an invite. So if you want to jump in, we're going to try to keep just 6 people on the screen at a time. And if there's more than 6 people, we'll just like
Okay,
close our video for a minute and then come back on when we want to talk. I mean,
maybe this is a fly in the ointment, but they're also talking about war with China. But they had a bit of a problem where they had to take out an entire aircraft carrier because the sailors were sick with COVID. Bit of a problem.
just a little bit. Sandy says, but we have Space Force and we're going to mine the moon.
Yeah, they would
Oh
just
gosh.
love to do that.
I know you're being sarcastic because how much fossil fuels does it take to mine the moon?
That's true, huh?
It's like that's a wonderful thought, I guess. But
Do you know where
think
the
it's
large?
Trump saying this. Okay, go
Do
ahead.
you know where the largest deposit of lithium is in the world?
Where?
Afghanistan.
Of course.
Oh, is that
That
why we've
makes
been
a
there
lot.
for?
So that may explain some of why America's over in Afghanistan still after what,
think?
20 years? It's a
It's the battery.
possibility. Also, Venezuela has a lot of rare earth minerals
Yep.
And
too.
Africa.
Mm.
Yeah,
And North Korea and
yeah.
Venezuela, all the places that they want to start wars with, they have rare earth minerals. I wonder why they want to start war with them.
It could be. I'm not certain that's the reason. Or we're still pretty much sold on fossil fuels. I mean, to replace it, even with these Green New Deal measures, it's just humongous task. And whether or not it's even going to be too late, if it is implemented, we're most likely missed the target by 20 years.
Oh,
So we'll see what happens. It's anything can happen. I'm not even certain that we're going to make it through the next few years. I don't like to say that, but it's just I've never seen the world. I'm an older man. I'm 63, and I've seen a lot in my lifetime. And I've never seen a more messed up geopolitical situation, a more messed up global situation, environmental situation. And you just think, well, this little virus thing is minor compared to what is probably coming down the line. And when the permafrost starts melting, there's all kinds of weird viruses that are bubbling up underneath the permafrost. So I don't hold out much optimism. It doesn't mean I think people should give up and say, okay, well, the Green New Deal is corrupt, and so we can't do anything. We got to try, right?
Oh, I know.
And
I want to try. I just think we need to re-envision the Green New Deal.
I agree, because there is parts of, like a federal jobs guarantee that's in the Green New Deal that would have really helped. So I think if we take it apart and we start to work on the pieces that are sustainable and renewable and not
we need
just
to have the
feeding
discussion to
corporations.
start with. Have the discussion because no one's having the discussion about. I mean, they're just saying the Green New Deal, yay,
Yeah.
and they're not talking about how renewable energy is actually not replacing fossil fuels, it's adding to fossil fuels, and fossil fuels are increasing every year. These are the discussions we absolutely have to have. It's very
Yes.
important to have these discussions, and just shutting off the conversation at no, we need green new energy. I understand we want a better system. I want a better system, but we need to start talking about reducing energy use and reducing population. It's a horrible thing to talk
I
about.
think the first thing we need to tackle as a movement is biomass, because I live in a port city. I watch our trees from the Olympic Peninsula, which we have old growth forests here. I see them chopped down, turned to chip, and we have huge piles of chips that are being shipped out to Japan in our port. And so I see it directly how it's affecting the Olympic rainforest,
That's even more atrocious when you chop it down and ship it to another country.
Yes. And the sad thing is they'll ship whole trees out to them. They will chop them down, turn them into pallets, and then ship the pallets back here. All that wasted energy.
Yeah. And they're doing that with so many other
yeah, that's just one
resources.
tiny example.
Yeah. It's a one tiny example.
Well, and the military wants to take our port. We've been fighting the Navy for 10 years. They moved the growlers up here. So we have their, big growler jets that go over, they train over us. Then they started doing magnetic warfare up in the Olympic forest, with those portable, they're supposed to jam radar, basically, make things invisible. But then we started seeing terrible things happening in our forests and our animals dying, how it's affecting. And they just deny, they fight, they're trying to annex everything. They just want to take over every port and own every port. I do believe that the military industrial complex will own the Olympic Peninsula if it doesn't already. I mean, they will eventually push us off of here.
One way or another, yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's disgusting. Okay, let me read a comment from Bio because I'm tagged in it. So, to have a chance, we may need to go nuclear as soon as possible and then go all out on research for tapping the 0 point energy, full sci-fi, anti-gravity. Bio, you know how I feel about nuclear. Break my heart. Break my heart. But okay. I don't know what to say about because I am so against nuclear. Being from a place where they mine uranium for nuclear and where they store the spent nuclear waste, I am so against nuclear. So very against nuclear. So it's a hard sell for me, Bio. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. Really hard sell. Oh, damn it. Sandy.
Okay, to restate your original title here,
Am
what
I
was
out
it?
of here? What is
Why the military loves the Green New Deal?
Uh-huh.
Is that what your assertion is?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Where are
yeah.
you, Val? Where
What
are you,
happened?
Val? Put
I'm
your
I'm a
video back
ghost.
on, damn
I'm a
it.
ghost.
There you are.
Okay, so so basically, the military is the largest, almost the largest employer there is. All the states have military contracts. That's what all the politicians, the senators and congressmen try to get. What do they call it? Pork. I'm no political expert.
Yeah, the
Isn't that the
pork out of
term?
the bills, the all the shit they add in for the corporations and the donors in order to get a bill passed. Like, here, you get this, you get this. Then will you pass it for me, please? Is that what you're talking about, Val?
Yes, exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm no expert in it. I think that they have big problems with the virus, and I'm also hearing a lot of stuff about war with China. I don't know if you guys have seen Lisa Haven, but they're saying that tensions are rising, and I don't see how they could do that because we owe China $1 trillion. We're getting, but most importantly, that's where we're getting all our parts and supplies and medicines. So how can they possibly be trying to have tensions with China?
Because we want to move that back home. A lot of that, once they figured out the supply chain was too far off. Like take insulin, for example.
Yeah.
All of our insulin comes from China, all of it. My husband's a diabetic. I'm scared to death that in a month or two, there won't be any insulin in the United States. I don't know. Is Trump negotiating with China or with Canada or some other country?
They're saying the tensions are getting worse. In fact, 98% of antibiotics comes from China.
Yeah. So yeah, picking a fight with them.
That's a terrible idea.
But I see it happening. I do see it happening too, though.
If you get shut off from antibiotics, just the smallest infection can kill you. And they're also using antibiotics with the virus to prevent pneumonias, because people tend to get bacterial infections in combination with the virus. But you got 98% of the antibiotics, and you said the insulin mostly is coming. But of course, with insulin, you can kind of quickly do it here in the United States. You can use not bovine, but pig insulin.
Yeah.
But that's
You're a vegan. What the hell are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about that's originally where they started getting. I think they're with synthetic insulins now and not so much using pig insulin. But if we go to war with China, which I hope we don't, because I think it's a terrible idea.
But I think we're going to have to. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
No, you're
I
good.
think
I'm totally confused about it.
I think that so China has initiated this One Belt initiative over the last 10 years.
Yeah, we forgot about
Where
that.
China is rising up. Well, what did they do? They went and they helped countries like Venezuela build these huge ports that they're now exporting from. So they are due to overtake the United States for our gross domestic product. And so we have no choice but to fight back if we want to remain the number one superpower in the world, because they're about to overtake us. They're about to overtake the petrodollar. And then what happens to us, if they haven't already?
Oh, well, that's what our currency is based on. That's
Right.
petrodollar. That's the only thing that's and they're creating money out of nothing right now, just putting money out there. There's nothing backing it other than oil. And oil has gone to zero.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody noticed that.
Yeah, it
You know?
has. Great gas prices, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
yay.
but I don't think that bodes well,
Well, and then you throw Taiwan into the mix. The
Yeah.
fact that we need to protect Taiwan as its sovereign nation.
I'm going to start writing everything you said here. War with China.
I'm not advocating for it, but I'm telling you, this is what I see. I love foreign policy. I spend a lot of time watching media around the world because I think you have to step away from American news if you want to know a better picture of what's happening in the world. So I'll even watch propaganda Chinese TV just to see what they're saying.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Okay, so China, what do you think about trade deals and shipping like our goods that we have raised here, like um our farm goods, like alfalfa, for instance? That's one that I have to deal with.
I'm going to say something that a lot of people don't find popular. If you have, Trump derangement syndrome, Trump was right to put tariffs back on things because that is how we make our money in this country. This is how our workers get paid for their work, is the tariffs that come in from sending our stuff abroad. And for so long, the neoliberals have wiped away that with their whole free trade push that so many of us supported, including myself. I've been duped by the neoliberals for 20 years into thinking these are good things. And now I'm waking up in a nightmare going, oh my God, I help support stuff.
No, I mean, because of things that we grow here and we're using our resources to grow it, like water, which is becoming harder and harder to get. I don't think we should ship anything that we grow
I
across
agree.
to another country, especially China. And they have their Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. I don't know how you feel about that piece of shit legislation.
Yeah,
Like
total.
it's crap because what they're doing right now is building ports and infrastructure just to ship shit to China
Yeah.
from other countries, and they're doing it all over the world. I am totally against that. So yeah, unless you have Trump derangement syndrome and think that it's okay to do that, fine. But I was actually really happy when he did the tariffs on the countries because that actually was beneficial to us. And I was really sad when he folded a couple of times. And no, I don't want
It's
anything
Trump.
to do.
It's still Trump, but that was one thing. I mean,
Yeah.
even a
When he
clock's
does
right
it
twice a
right,
day,
I'm
right?
gonna be like,
Yeah.
yay. When he does it wrong, I'm like, you fucker. And
Yeah.
that's with any fucking politician. I don't care who you are.
Me too.
I will be the
Amen,
same.
sister.
It's like, I don't care. I don't care. It's like, this is what we need for our country. Don't and for the human race, for nature, this is what we need. If you do something against it, I'm gonna be pissed. If you do something for it, I'll be happy. I don't care what side of the fence you're on as far as politics go. That means nothing to me. Nothing.
I think COVID helped us realize that this dream to live globally is not idyllic, and that
Right.
we have to start living in our communities. We
If
have to
anything
start
good
eating
came
in our
out of
Right.
it,
communities.
if anything good came out of it, that's it.
Yeah, I think
Right
so too.
there. Absolutely. Because
You
there's
know,
so
I
many
can.
people got used to antibiotics calling in the wait, god damn it. I hate it when damn it, you guys are chatting too fast. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Too many people got used to antibiotics like calling in the cavalry for a sniffle, etc. Yeah. True. True, true, true. Okay. Remember guys to tag me if you want me to read out your comment. It's so hard to keep up with people talking messages. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Sean. Sorry.
You didn't.
Hi, dude.
But
No.
but here in Canada, this whole free trade thing, I can remember it distinctly, and the conservatives and the liberals, and the liberals were against it, and there was a really big push to just have a free trade deal with the U.S. And experts were warning, well, what about all these job losses? Because we had some pretty higher wage jobs in Canada than the US at the time. And they would say, oh, no, well, we're not going to have a free trade deal with Mexico. That will never happen. So this is like the camel's nose under the tent, right? I mean, it started out with just, okay, another first world country, that's fine. Okay, we lost about 50,000 jobs with that one. But then when NAFTA came in a few years later, then it just devastated of course, all the industries here. I mean, I'm in the Canadian equivalent of the Rust Belt. I'm on the other side of the Great Lakes, but this whole area was auto manufacturing, locomotives, telecommunications, all gone now, all gone to low wage countries, and what's left is these temporary the gig economy where people don't have any rights. There's no unionization. There's no often no sick time, and I've just seen this whole globalization as a way to really hit workers. Well, if you don't like it, there's somebody over in Bangladesh that's quite willing to do it for $1 a day.
Yeah, pennies
And
on
this
the
is what
dollar compared to
Exactly.
here. Yeah.
yeah
So
yeah
don't blame the
I'm happy to
immigrants.
say I was against. No, no, of course not. I mean, it's people come here to North America to escape some horrendous conditions, and to imagine the like I had my car serviced today, and I was sitting in the waiting room doing the social distancing thing, and I talked to this young fellow from Iran who came to Canada, and he goes, people complain about things. Nobody here has a right to complain a bit because he grew up in Iran and under the sanctions and everything. He's got family there that are starving. And it was just such an interesting perspective to think that we in the West are kind of so entitled. We're little babies when it comes to any sort of deprivation. So something happens that takes away maybe something that we're feel entitled to, but we're not. We're just humans on this earth, and nobody's more entitled because of the country they're born in or the skin color or anything else. It's just I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I just thought I'd drop that and see what you guys think, because
No, I
I
agree with you.
I'm
I agree. And the strife that they're filling in those countries is created by our policies. What we
yeah.
have done in South America with the School of the Americas is
eh,
horrendous. And you see these Trump supporters like, oh, well, turn around. We don't want you. These people are walking for a month barefoot with their children with no food, knowing that when they get to the border, they could be arrested and their children taken away from them. They still come here. Like,
You have to be pretty damn desperate
exactly.
to
You're
do
running
that.
for your life if you do that. As a mom of 3, that's running for your life.
Yeah, and then there's people that farmers who have these farms that they depend on the immigrants to come
Yes.
sure.
and
Hmm.
harvest, and now that's been stopped. See, there's good. I'm sorry, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not either on either side of this. I'm just looking at facts and how they affect people. His ban on immigrants, visas, whatever, coming over to harvest our food is fucking bullshit.
It is.
And
Who's going to do it?
A
Not
disaster.
us.
they should have maybe bought the crops if the restaurants weren't buying them anymore, and then put the money in that instead of the big corporations that don't need the fucking money anyway. Let them file bankruptcy. They'll be fucking fine. Who cares? Give it to the farm. Pay for the merchandise. Don't just give it to the farmers. Buy their merchandise. Help them harvest it by giving them some migrant workers to harvest it, and then put it out to the people who fucking need it because they can't work because of this stupid fucking virus. I mean, God, who the fuck there's no intelligent life running this country.
Well,
Well, there is, but
there's
they're too busy filling their own fucking
They're
pockets.
blinded by greed. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of doing the right thing. They know what they could do to do the right thing. They just won't. They just won't.
Yep.
So yeah, sorry, I'm gonna pull my hair out in any second now.
I
So
love
what are
this
you?
crew. You guys are awesome.
Well, this is a pretty smart fucking crew here. I'm telling you what. And women get a lot more chance to talk on Women's Wednesday, huh? Oh, Oz wants to say something.
Aw.
That's what we don't like talking over each other. So if you really have to say something, you do that.
Yes.
No, I want to read a comment by Pat, the Batman fan. Vegematic,
It's supposed to
don't
be
even
here.
get me started on these entitled shitbags crying cause that can't go to the effing mail or the beach, eat
Oh,
assholes. I love that. Tell us how you really feel, Pat.
yeah.
Can I
love
tell you, I just watched a video of a friend of mine. I want to say he's in Georgia, and there was a protest, the let us out, lift the lockdowns. And he stood out there, and every single one of them that walked by, he'd say, fuck you, God hates dipshits. And I was like, okay, I don't know if that's a good approach, but it was hilarious to watch
that would
because
be funny.
these Trump people's minds were just blowing. They had their Trump signs and their liberty or death signs.
I love it.
It was funny.
Okay, come on, Whitney. You haven't talked at all, so I want to hear your
Well,
thoughts.
I know I'm just a listener these days. I just have stuff on coronavirus. I mean, I'm just listening to you.
Dude.
I know
Just
everyone's talking about the
keeps
coronavirus.
getting worse. I know, and that's why I'm just like, I mean, you want to talk about environmental stuff? What's been going on? Stuff has been canceled, like COP26. It's been postponed. I
Really?
mean, yeah, because of the coronavirus.
Where was it supposed to be at, Whitney?
Scotland. So they have to put
what good has ever came out of COP26?
Nothing.
I know it means well, so I don't think that's a huge loss because nothing ever happens. Nothing. They'll go talk about it, and then everything just goes about.
Well, they had the Paris Agreement in 2015, right? So that was their big accomplishment, but now that's like ripped to shreds.
Accomplishments.
Yeah, and because the United States kind of withdrew. I mean, formally Trump can withdraw when he gets reelected. If he gets reelected, we'll see. So that was the big threat of a reelection of Trump. But we know now. What's up?
Whitney, wouldn't you say that the virus has lowered emissions much more than any environmental anything? Even
I remember you said that.
Extinction Rebellion.
Absolutely.
It's I think the reduction is like 30% in emissions.
But it hasn't ended like death and destruction of the environment. That's a sad part.
I don't know, Christine. I am seeing
watching?
more. I'm seeing more deer. I'm seeing rabbits. I'm seeing
No, there's
birds.
that.
There's the environment's healing in a way, but once
healing.
once humans can get back into it, right? The capitalist system. Who knows?
I think it would heal better if people would actually get the money to stay home, because they're not getting the money to stay home. So a lot of people are going out into the wilderness and destroying it and killing animals and to survive. And if they had money, they would probably actually make a beneficial impact on the environment. I'm seeing in my own town, like the mountains behind us, like getting destroyed because people are just flocking there because they can't go into malls, they can't go in, and we can't go visit the mountains. It's just everything's getting destroyed. All the mountains are getting destroyed. God, just give people some fucking money and tell them to stay home. Don't leave.
Exactly. And
just give them money and tell them to stay fuck home. That's what I
mean,
think.
since the Industrial Revolution, I guess, but just in the past 100 years, right? I mean, how much has humanity taken from the earth just in minerals? Like, we've cut out mountains, we've taken the oil. I mean, how much more is left?
There's not much more left.
Not much.
I'm so sad. There's so much destruction happening, and the thing is that we need to keep the supply chain going because people, what do you do? Okay, Veg, I really want to ask you this question. You probably watched Sam today, right? When he was talking about the factory farms and all that being, and I actually watched a farmer talk about this too, where the government is asking the farmers to pretty much euthanize all their herd, which means pretty much shoot them in the fucking head and kill them.
Yeah.
This is just god awful to me. I was like, it's not what I wanted to happen. You know, not what I
The
wanted to happen. Help me figure this out.
you got to remember that millions and millions of animals are slaughtered every single day, and the farmers aren't going to keep them because they're losing money on them. So this is what's going to happen.
Did you
And
hear they're shipping in animals like meat from other countries while
sure,
asking the American people the American farmers to destroy their animals? They're bringing
yeah,
in animals from other countries.
yeah. Well, again, it's all these neoliberal trade deals and everything that are into place, and
The fuck?
we got to localize. We got to
Yeah, that's
localize
what I said
economies.
forever,
Yeah, yeah.
forever. And God, if you only depended on the people around you in your community. I mean, I believe in being vegan. I would love to be a vegan.
Sure.
I'm more like a vegetarian than a vegan because I do eat
Yeah.
eggs and
We all do
Christine,
what we
haven't
can,
you,
right? We
Christine,
all do
haven't
what
yeah,
you
we can.
tried those Impossible burgers?
yeah, they're fine. I don't.
So why don't you feed it to your husband? Don't tell him it's an impossible. I bet you he'll never know it. He'll
No,
never know.
I know, but that's all still factory made and shit, and depends on importing stuff from here and there and whatever. So it doesn't matter. I mean, living locally, like I'm serious about living
Oh, I agree.
local, like within your own county, local, like where you can ride a horse to, for fuck's sake, like really local, not shipping from across the country to your place.
Okay, let me mention something real quick here.
Okay.
My ex-wife, she got her check and she's like, I'm gonna get her a freezer. Okay.
Hmm.
They're sold out. They are totally, I mean, to the last one.
Can I
Wow.
just tell people
So,
invest in seeds and learn how
okay,
to can?
so
Invest in mason jars so you can can. Invest
yeah,
in that. Please, for God's sakes, be smart. Invest in seeds because I love you all you people here. I love you guys. Invest in seeds, mason jars, learn how to can, learn how to garden while you still can. And hopefully you have enough of a growing season to do that. Just saying.
what have you got planted?
What have I have? I'm gonna do a garden tour soon.
Okay,
I,
awesome.
I have a lot planted, and we just planted strawberries last weekend,
Nice.
yesterday. But we have gosh, we have
You can
so
also,
much. I don't know. We have a lot of stuff planted, and
and
my
in
three
this,
sisters' garden, the
yeah,
corn is like this big now. I'm so excited because the squash is starting to come up in the three sisters' garden, and then I have to plant the beans when the corn gets that big. I plant the beans, and then it's the three sisters of life: corn, squash, and beans. You can live on corn, squash, and beans.
and
That's
you can also sell it.
I don't have enough room to grow it to sell it. I just want to have it for me.
Right,
I'll
right.
share my excess because that's what you're supposed to do if you're a good
Yeah,
person. You
yeah.
But you
share of
know,
your
I didn't think of
excess.
that. Yeah,
so much of the economy has become run by the huge conglomerates. When I was a kid, I grew up in the 60s in Montreal in a small neighborhood. And I mean, this is a suburban neighborhood, but I went to school with the kids that of the guys that own the businesses, like the guy that owned the hardware store, the guy that owned the drugstore. Their kids went to school with me. It was all locally owned, and that just kept changing and changing and changing, and the bigger and bigger chains came in. And now it's to the point where, and I think this is what's going to happen after this whole shutdown thing is over, is so many of these mom and pop places, anything that's left is going to be gone, and it's going to be more of the homogenization. It's like every single town you can travel all across North America and not know what city you're in because it's all the same
Yeah.
fast food joints and
Mhm.
Costco and Walmart, and this is all what I think we need to change is to get back to smaller locally owned businesses. It's just that the conglomerates have taken so much,
Yeah,
they
this should
won't
be
leave anything
illegal.
for the common people.
Yeah. It should be illegal. It should be
We
illegal.
really are in the new gilded age in a way, right? We have all these monopolies and these huge industries, and there is no mom and pop, or they can barely make it if they have it, you know. So great points.
Yeah, absolutely, Veg. That's why we
We're,
love
we're,
you. You guys are also smart. All you people that I have on. I am so
we're-
lucky to have these people.
yes, you are.
We're
You're
lucky to
very
have
lucky.
you.
I have to
We're
mention
all
this real.
lucky.
I have to mention
Yeah.
this real quick about that there's 70. This is totally non sequitur, but there's 70 plus labs working on the virus. And as we were talking about earlier, you know, my concern that they may be rushing the vaccine,
I'm a little concerned.
and when you rush things, you know, you can have unwarranted consequences that are not so good. So that's my big concern. Also, Christine, I mean, as I said about the atomic bomb test, they didn't know if it was going to set off the whole atmosphere. That could have happened.
Holy shit.
I also have to. Yeah, you knew that, right? Whitney?
Yeah, I do, but it's just it's crazy what happens.
Yeah, well, they pretty much guessed that it wasn't, but a concern of mine, like the geoengineering, you know, they say, well, if we do geoengineering, the solution could be worse than the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the virus, you know, in a rush to make money, find the cure, to get the system back to work, they may come up with a vaccine that infects people. 5 years down the line, gives you cancer. Nobody knows because
Book
they're in a
says,
rush.
don't worry, the vaccine might be worse than the virus. And I worry about that too. I mean,
Yeah,
and
that's my concern. You know, and
Yeah.
there's been some talk that there's a Manhattan Project of vaccine or the viral research, and that we're not really aware of it.
Yeah,
And that
there is.
yeah, you know, and in the and what we got with the Manhattan Project is that we've had to live under the sword of Damocles, a sword hanging over our head, for the last 65 years, where this sucker could go off anytime. You
that's a
know,
little
and I think
crazy.
we just dodged a bullet myself.
Duck and cover.
Ducking, well, we're about the
Yeah.
same age, Veg. You know, I know you remembered that they had us get underneath the desk. And I'll tell you something else that people in Veg will probably remember, and maybe Oz. Oz is younger, but they used to give us dog tags when we were children, or little bracelets for your wrist with your blood type and stuff, and also to identify your burnt bodies after an atomic war. Don't you remember that, Veg? Veg, did you freeze?
He must have
Okay.
froze. I'm like,
Veg.
I'm waiting.
Really hard.
Maybe it was too
Oh,
too much
no.
PTSD. But they actually did that. You know, they would give you dog tags. You know,
There
it's
he
kind of
is. He's
freaky.
back. He's back. Now you can ask again.
And my dad, he got.
Wait, ask him, Val. He's there
Okay.
now.
Well, do you remember the ad sent in for fallout shelters, dog tags for children, bracelets with your blood type on it? No. Well, you're a Canuck. This was in America.
It was in the U.S. where there's freedom. Yeah.
You don't remember fallout shelters, though, Veg?
I don't remember them, but they were historical, right? in the
muted,
beginning.
Veg.
I remember them in all the movies I watched, like Grease for one,
Well, we had one.
two.
One of my
You really did?
earliest
Wow.
memories, though, and this would have been in, I guess, 1962. I would have been about 5 years old. And my parents, who had survived World War II, were absolutely certain it was the Cuban Missile Crisis. And they were absolutely certain that there was going to be a war.
Pretty
And
much.
I just remember being 5 years old and not really knowing what it meant, but I wanted to save my budgie if there was going to be a war because I had a pet bird.
You had a
right?
bird.
Oh, you're
And-
a
and-
parakeet, budgie, parakeet.
Yeah, budgie, parakeet, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was my only thought as a 5-year-old. You know, I didn't have any concept of like the idea of like how close we came to nuclear Armageddon in that year, right?
Right.
And then when you look at the history, you go, wow, no wonder my parents were so freaked out, because like my father was born in Poland and was in a concentration camp in the Second World War and everything. So he and my mother was from England and survived the Blitz, so they went through all that, and they were always like terrified that there was going to be another war. And the fact that it's 2020 and we haven't had a nuclear Armageddon is kind of unbelievable, really.
Yes, it
Maybe the
is.
aliens are helping us out, stopping it.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
got a
know. But
pandemic instead, and we're probably
yeah,
getting another
yeah.
one and another one and another one. I mean, we're really just going through a practice run of what's going to happen in the future, in my opinion.
I'm
Um,
afraid, yeah.
it's sad. It's really sad, and I don't want that to be the case. But unless we
But
reduce our
yeah,
population, we, yeah.
but for an apocalypse, this isn't too bad. We still get to
Oh yeah, I'm enjoying the hell
have
out
a
of it
good
right
time. I know
now. So
you.
far,
Yeah,
I'm
so am
enjoying the
I.
fuck out of it.
I
Uh,
I'm a quarter hating it, 3/4 loving it.
I'm more 3/4 loving it. Yeah, the rest of
I
it
mean, there.
indifferent.
Yeah, I'm having periods of like intense boredom, but that's
How
why
do
I
you
get out
know
of.
boredom? I don't understand boredom when there's a garden. Do you, okay, is there some, I understand if you lived in an apartment being bored. I totally understand being bored if you're stuck in an apartment. But if you have land to garden and all that, and you have animals, I just don't understand why you
I
I'm
would
in
I,
a
not
I
enjoy
I'm
took
in
it.
a trailer park and I'm still gardening.
yeah.
Yay, there's that.
I took
Veg, don't you have a backyard? Or
You're muted, Veg.
you're muted, Veg.
Yeah.
Unmute.
I have a
Okay.
backyard and it's way too shady. I planted way too many trees back there. So it's like
Oh,
my
damn.
little urban forest. So it does attract the rabbits and raccoons and
Oh, dang.
all
Do
kinds
you
of
have a front
wildlife.
yard with sun?
The front, yeah, I have a little front yard, but it's just for flowers, really, because I'm really close to the road in the front. So haven't had a chance to do any serious vegetable gardening at all in quite a few years. So I should get back into that.
Yeah,
But I'd
we've
have to
got
take out trees in the backyard, and so
We're
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
that
I'm
would be
unfortunate.
hard.
Joey and I have 12 separate garden patches, and we're building our greenhouse next week. So we
awesome.
have, at least 12 by 12 garden patches, and she's trying to hold back. Well, we don't need to plant that much. And I'm saying, go ahead and do it because we're getting to the point where our community is going to have to help each other
Right.
grow
Right.
the stuff, even if we give it away, which is the point. Go ahead and do it because we
That's
have.
the best idea. That's the
Mhm.
best idea.
Grow whatever you can and share it with
Build
people
this
if you
local
can.
community.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, permaculture the hell out of where you live. So that's what
And
you do.
vertical
But
gardening, which I'm
You
learning how
bet.
to do right now.
I
that's
have a
what's
friend who
happening
just launched vertical
more
on
and more.
super.
So,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Veg. What?
no, I was just saying it's people are rediscovering all these skills, baking bread and canning and growing food and
And you
depression era stuff. So maybe there's some positive stuff towards this. I'm just worried that when it all ends, that we're going to go back to just the way things were in terms of burning fossil fuel and not
Hmm.
paying attention to what's going on, and then have all these new factories starting up again and racing to make up for lost time, right? So overall I can enjoy the peace and quiet and the cleaner skies, but I am worried about how this all ends, and when after it ends, what what's going to happen to people's civil liberties as well as what's going to happen to the environment. Uh, just showing though that if we cut back even somewhat on our fossil fuel consumption, look at the differences in the. There was a really good article in the Guardian a couple of weeks back, I guess, and they had photographs with the cursor in the center of it, and it showed like places like Delhi and in Thailand, and the difference between cities before and after the coronavirus, and the skies were like just it was night and day. The
Yeah.
skies were
Oh
blue
yeah.
and clear and everything, and then they showed before and you couldn't believe it. The difference was astounding. So if even that small amount has actually made a difference, then maybe we can have a small amount of optimism. I mean, I'm a doomer, but I still inside have that much hope for the future for humans.
I'm right
Hey,
there with you.
My kind of people.
Yeah, there you go.
It's all going down.
Honestly, I talked to my daughter today, and she said, Dad, I'm actually cooking. So I think, and she
Aw.
said, I've saved a buttload of money since this whole thing went down. And people are learning these skills. Like you say, Veg, they're reviving the old skills of gardening and cooking and things. This is gonna,
Sourdough,
yeah, this is,
canning.
I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna figure out how much money they save and how much they like eating food that tastes like food and not processed
Oh my
chemicals.
God, once you grow your own food,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't realize how food tastes until you grow it yourself. And things you even thought you hated, when you grow it yourself, suddenly it's like, oh, this is the best ever. When you grow it yourself and put that effort into it, it's so good and it's so nutritious,
You don't
especially,
have you're not eating all that salt,
yeah,
right?
if you don't use all the chemical fertilizers and all that, and you just natural compost
Yeah.
and everything, you're growing out of that, and no pesticides, and then you eat it like the asparagus. Oh my God, our asparagus that we
Oh
grow,
yeah.
you just break it off and it's a snack, and you
Makes
just
my pee smell funny.
oh my God, it's the best. When you grow your own food, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing. But we're out the hour, guys. So God, I know it's hard to get everything in when there's so many
Yes,
people.
there is. Yes.
But let's read some the Dee Dee. I just want to answer Dee Dee's question. She asked if I was recovered from the virus yet. I never tested positive for the virus. I did
Thank
have
God.
symptoms. Um, I don't know whether I had it or not. My husband also had the symptoms. He never got tested for it. I did get tested. I tested negative. I have an autoimmune disorder, and so I am on short-term disability because I am at high risk of being when I if I get exposed, I could have really harsh consequences. Um, so just going through that process. Anyway, I never tested positive for it. But thank you for your concern. I'm okay. I mean, I'm actually pretty healthy and happy other than a fever. That's all I have. That's it. Just a fever. So anyone who wants to read comments, please help me. Rich Diane, I miss saying hello to you. Overshoot is a bitch that can't be cajoled. Yeah, that's true.
Jilly Love, grazing in the grass is a blast. LOL.
I love taking my horse and just laying back and letting her graze around me. I have so many beautiful pictures of me up in the mountains with my horse, letting her graze while I just sit and chill. I have a lot of cool
Okay,
pictures.
who
I'll
else
show.
had that song start up in their head?
Um,
Grazing in the gas is a gas. It's well, never mind. Showing my age again.
I'd probably love that song if I knew it.
Okay, yeah, well, it's an old one.
Send
It's
it
probably
to
50
me.
years old.
Send me a link. I love old music. The old music's the best. I
Yeah,
love like outlaw country, old rock and roll, folk music, that kind of thing. That's my genre. Right.
I'll
Um.
send you some links.
All right. Awesome. I love that stuff. My son-in-law's into that stuff too, which is really cool because he's introduced me to some old stuff that I never knew existed. So, I was more like Willie Whalen, Johnny Cash, and the gang, and some CCR and whatever. Anyway, okay. Grateful Heretic. I don't know. Thanks for coming. I guess you guys are all conversing. Gazar, thanks for coming. Pat, Bio, I love you so much. Jilly Love, always awesome to have you here. Malcolm Marzo, thank you very much. Bram, I wish you were in the conversation. The Green Report is doing leaves.
I'm laughing at Pat. And there was a good comment. Someone said it was Malcolm Marzo. He said young people are going to have a very hard time with the second depression, essentially, compared to what people went through in the past.
Oh
Just
yeah, it's
can't
gonna be way worse. Way worse.
handle it. We had the recession and now we're gonna have a depression. Basically, anyone born from the 90s on has known economic depressions. Like, thanks. Welcome to the future.
True that.
Oh, it's gonna be hard.
It's gonna
Well,
be
for me,
real.
the recession of 1980s never went away.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, basically, the economy turned to shit when Reagan got elected and just went downhill from there. You know, it was just that's when
Yeah.
neoliberalism came in and all this free trade stuff and everything. So I hate the 80s as a decade. I absolutely hate the 80s.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, don't get me started on that, Veg, because Reagan started the fire and Bill Clinton threw gas on it.
Heck
with-
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
Start the fire.
yeah, and that the Democratic leaders like Clinton, they're more like light Republicans. So that shift as we've gone right versus, you
Yeah.
know, they're not
The
even
last decent president that you guys had, in my opinion, was Jimmy Carter.
That was
And-
it.
Carter. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he was so people so underestimate him, and they don't like
Jimmy
Carter.
He
He's
was
terrible.
the best one. Like in
Here's
the
a
He
nice
didn't have any wars under his. He was probably the only president you had that didn't start a war. You know, well, although I guess he had Brzezinski and
Yeah.
the whole Afghanistan thing and
Well, yeah, and
Russia.
look at
Well, the
look at
Iran
look-
Contra affair too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at Jimmy Carter compared to Obama. So what does Jimmy Carter do? He goes out and builds houses for people that
I
can't.
know he's doing
At like
that when he's
99.
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
way old, and he's out there doing Habitat for
Yeah.
Humanity.
And
That's
Obama's-
freaking crazy.
Obama's getting ready to fly into space with Branson and go out and party.
Yeah, and he's doing $1 million speeches for the fucking banks. That's what Obama
Right.
does.
Don't ever anybody. I challenge you. You want to debate the merits of Barack Obama? I'm your Huckleberry.
One of my very favorite quotes ever.
I love that quote too.
Tombstone. I'll be your Huckleberry. I love that fucking movie. That's one of my very favorite movies in the whole world. That should be a
Tombstone.
movie suggestion on Daily Dive.
It's coming.
Yay.
Tombstone. One
We're
of the
having-
best fucking movies ever made was Tombstone.
Yeah, we're having
Tombstone.
Caddyshack Friday. Caddyshack Friday.
Oh, you gotta have a Caddyshack in there. Okay, Chris Foster says, have you ever heard Charlie Chaplin's speech from The Great Dictator? It's absolutely
Yes.
awesome and still relevant today.
Amazing speech. Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Thank you, Chris, for that reminder. That's awesome.
It's on YouTube. Look it up. It's great stuff.
Absolutely. If I can, I'll post it on my YouTube. Okay.
He was accused of being a communist too.
I
Just like
know.
us.
I'm accused of being a communist all the time. All the time. I'm not a communist.
Nobody unless you're a Russian bot.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Russian bot here. Been accused of that. Right now I'm more of a, what do you call that? Anarchist. Yeah, I'm more of an anarchist lately, I think. Sadly, but true. Okay, guys. Everyone, if you want to read a thing, I'm gonna get into my things so I can. I wish I had my. I really need to fix my. Stream Deck
Okay,
so I can
well, I'll go
press the
first.
button.
I saw a quick article where they said that Jeffrey Epstein.
Are you gonna start a new topic right now?
Well,
Matt?
it's a quick one, super quick. Jeffrey Epstein wanted to have his head and his penis frozen.
Oh my God.
But did you hear the description of his penis? Why would that happen? If you are really into the Epstein case, you know it's egg shaped.
I'm not into it. I just thought that I thought it was just kind of
That's
crazy.
horrible.
That's what they said. That's what the girls testified.
What did they say?
They said it was egg shaped and deformed and like super small.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, well, see, he was planning on getting a robot body, so he wanted his head frozen, but they said he also wanted his penis frozen. I'm like, well, whatever. He didn't get either though.
Why are we bringing up this topic?
You said read a comment. I read a comment.
Yeah, I've heard more than I need to about Jeffrey Epstein's penis. I really have.
Yeah, that's not my favorite topic. Okay, guys, I love y'all, but this is ridiculous. Okay, read any other comments. Don't start a new conversation, but just read some or say goodbye to some people because I have to have this ready to transition
Goodbye,
out.
Jilly.
So.
Goodbye, Jilly. See you in the morning, Jilly.
Bye,
Huh?
Julie. Love you so much. Okay, and I also, if you don't see any comments for us, I want to thank you, Shonda.
Thank you.
Shanda like a chandelier.
Shanda.
Chandelier.
I'm gonna get it right. I'm
It's a
sorry.
tough one.
We're
Our
It's
sugar
blonde-
okay.
diamonds,
That was
Wednesday.
awesome, Shanda.
Yeah, our
You
blonde
did
princess
great. Thank you
Leia
so
here.
much for coming on, Vegematic.
you.
Always, I love you and your show, and you coming on with me is very special. And then Whitney from the Green Report.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
I always love you. We'll see you on Wednesday. And
Yes.
Oz from Roar Media, Uphill Media, The Daily Dive, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. That would be 10 a.m. Pacific. What is that? 12.
Okay, that's the name of the show's Daily
The
Dive.
Daily Dive
Yeah,
on Uphill
And
Media.
what's the George Carlin show? What's the name of
That's
that?
Batman, Pat the Batman
Pat's
fan. That's the
show.
production. Yeah, we're
Okay, so what's the name
Carlin
of
was
that show?
right.
Marlon.
Something.
Dude,
Carlin is right. Okay,
Carlin's
I'm
right,
just going to
yeah.
write this down because I keep forgetting it.
You
Carlin's
can't
right.
forget all these shows, damn it.
Yeah.
It's important.
Carlin
Better than TV ever has been. So yeah,
Yes. Yes.
and
Uphill
Daily.
Media is gonna be the bomb for sure. Especially when it's on what is that? What's the
Rockfin,
new Rockfin?
Rockfin, Rockfin.
Rockfin. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
Rockfin.
on Rockfin soon.
You
So
are on
check that
Rockfin,
out.
Christine.
Oh, I guess I am on Rockfin.
Oh, you
On the
are.
Oh,
Uphill Media channel
Yep.
or something. I don't
Ah,
know. Ask
yeah.
Oz.
crazy.
That's what it is. Okay, you guys, say goodbye to everybody. We love
Goodbye,
you all,
everybody.
and we'll
Goodbye,
see you
everybody.
Wednesday. Have a good one. Talk to y'all later.
Keep your powder dry.
Right.